Well, good morning, good day, and good afternoon, everybody. This is Kenneth McGinnis, founder of Weapons Management. Today, we're going to do a presentation dealing with debt. This is going to be different than most of my other presentations on debt because I've always focused on just getting out of debt. But I want to make sure you understand what debt is and what it isn't. So I want to make sure you pay close attention to everything I say in this presentation. So I'm starting off on the title slide because I want to make sure I capture your attention because I'm going to share some nuggets. It's not in the slides per se, but it's in my verbiage. So you want to pay attention and listen. So let's move on. Disclaimer: Weapons Management accepts no responsibility for your use of this material or biblical text. Further, we accept no responsibility and disclaim all liability for the damages resulting in whole or in part from your actions if you choose to pursue anything in this presentation. That is my disclaimer to keep myself safe from any legal issues. Let's begin. So, what is debt? Well, debt is pretty much what our market use and our society use to leverage and to buy things and to acquire things when you don't have the money that you need. But here's the thing though, when we borrow money, we ask for money to buy maybe a car. We take a loan on a car. We take a loan on a house. We take a loan on some clothing. We get a credit card and we purchase it on loan. Um, and the fact is what you see up here already is that kind of turns us into liars and presents a counterfeit life. I apologize if this offends any of you guys, but the thing is, when you're using debt, the reality is you're not paying for it and you don't own it. It's on loan. So realize when you use a credit card, when you get a car loan, you get a car loan due to the fact that you cannot afford it. And I need you guys to have understand this reality check that I'm giving you here. Get the car loan if you need it, but don't pretend like you own the car. That is the problem of our culture and our society that has been illustrated throughout centuries now. That debt is okay, and you own the car. It's your car. Don't you deserve a new car? But in reality, you deserve a new debt. So, bottom line is, go read your word. Go look at Proverbs 12, 15, 14, 12. I'm not going to read. I'm not going to go over it for you because you can go and research these things. But you are slave to the lender. Bottom line, it's nothing different. So the thing is, for many, many years, I hated debt, and I understood it from this perspective until I was able to get out of debt back in 2008. But most people, like I mentioned, show off their cars and their house like they own it. And hey, look at this house I own, look at this car I own. If you don't own it, just drive it. It's a car is to get you point A, point B. So here's the reason why I want you to listen closely. I want you to change your mindset and realize you're trying to get this flashy car to show off that something that don't belongs to you when you could just get an affordable car that gets you to point A and point B. They both serve the same purpose, and one without debt, one with debt. Which one would you prefer to have? The funny part is, if you have the one without debt, you're not going to be so much worried about showing off your car. You're going to just be focused on getting to point A and B, and that's it. So focus on do that. Focus on getting something that you can afford, so that it can just serve the purpose that it is, versus trying to show off on what you really don't have. And the reason why we do this is because here's the thing. We try to do things prior to us being able to do it. In the beginning, if you're broke, you're broke. It's okay. Like Luke 14:28 says, suppose one of you want to build a tower. Will you not first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? Would you not first sit down and see if you have enough money to buy the car or pay off the car? You have to do that first. And those are things that needs to be done. Planning. Going back to, if you want to understand the planning portion of my course, go back to my YouTube channel and look at the presentation on planning that was done on January 1st, this year. Develop a plan, and that way you can and decide and write down your numbers and estimate what can you afford. You want to make sure you can estimate the cost to see if you can complete the task to pay it off. So why you want to pay it off? Because guess what? You become a slave. If you go back into Nehemiah 5, 1 through 16, it's the first time. A lot of people don't talk about the scripture because it's just when it was building a wall in Jerusalem, and that was the first time that the Israelites and the Jewish people, they actually put themselves in slavery because they didn't have enough money. And that's when they first felt the pain of what it felt like to sit there and actually act like, well, I need to do this. I want to acquire more assets. But in reality, what they were doing is putting their family and children in slavery. So you might want to go back and look at Nehemiah 5:1-6 and understand what does that really do to you. Because the reality check is when you use a lot of debt, it can hurt you. Now the thing is, like I said, I want you to listen very closely because I'm going to flip this whole debt thing in the future and when I go to the next few slides, so that way you can understand what debt is and what debt isn't. First, in order to understand what debt is, you got to understand if you're a situation and you have a lot of debt, you want to know how to destroy it. Because I hate when people tell me about, oh yeah, how do you handle things when you don't give me a solution? So here's your solution: the debt snowball, debt stacking, whatever you call it. If you have a lot of debt and you're paying at least $2,700 a month in debt, you want to continue to pay your debt off because you want to get rid of that bill. Because guess what? That 2,700 could be going in your pocket versus going to someone else's pocket. And that's the goal of debt, is to steal the money that you can be using for yourself and giving it to someone else. That's the catch. So this is what you do. What you do is you learn how to use the debt snowball. You learn how to pay it off and withstand your stuff. Forget about trying to impress people. Forget about trying to splurge. Just be strict and pay off the loans. And once you pay it off, you pay off one, you already been paying a bill, you put it on the next loan. And that way you can increase your payments on that next loan. By increasing your payments on the next loan, you supercharge and you accelerate your payments. And then once you get that one paid off, then you move on to your next loan, your car note. Now, besides you paying $550 a month in your car note, on your car note, now you're paying double that because you're taking the money from your previous debt to pay off that car loan. And guess what? Now your car loan that was probably previously 15 years is now going to be like what, 4 or 5 years. Now, once you pay that off, you can chunk on this credit card. And that credit card, you get that credit card paid off, and then now you have nothing but a mortgage left. Now, not many people can walk around and say, I only got a mortgage, and that's it. But guess what? What if you took all the debts and all the money that you were putting towards your other debts towards your mortgage? Instead of you paying $1,200 a month, you're actually paying $2,700 a month. That will crush your mortgage. And instead of you paying off everything in 23 years and paying $214,000 in interest, because that's what you're going to pay, and that's the part that usually pisses me off. You're going to pay that much interest. Instead of you paying that, you accelerate it, you do the snowball, you pay it off in 8 years. So now, just going back to your age and stuff, let's say, you're 43, you paid off 15 years sooner, at the age of 43, which is 15 years sooner, and now you only pay $130 an hour interest. And to me, that's still a lot of interest to be paid, which I don't like being paid, like paying. Because the thing is, that $130,000 is money that I could have used to invest, but I had it going towards debt. So the thing is, you want to be able to do that, because once you do that, that $2,700 that you were paying towards debt is now free to be invested. And now you can gain some interest from the age of 44 to the age of 65. You can actually accumulate with assumption of 9%. You can accumulate $2 million by the age of 65. Now, everybody always asks, well, how do I get the 9%? Well, let's do this. How do we get the 9%? Well, let's talk about the rule of 72. And I talked about this in my Military Millionaire YouTube presentation. And the focus is this. The rule of 72 talks about how fast can you double your money. If you do 3% divided by 72, it takes you every 24 years. 6% every 12 years. And of course, 12% every 6 years, you'll double your money. The question always comes down to, where can I find vehicles where I can invest that and get that kind of return? Here is your first problem. Don't ask that question until you get out of debt. Here's why. When you're in debt, you're so scarce on your finances that you will never ever find those kind of vehicles because you're in debt and you're paying it off. However, pay close attention, guys. Once you are out of consumer debt, you will now look at debt in a different way. Debt will become leveraging. And if you have debt that you're paying for, then yes, you're losing that money. But what if someone else is paying that debt? Now when you're paying someone else paying that debt and you're getting a cash flow and you put a certain amount of money towards that debt, then what you do is you do your math. How much money are you putting towards that debt that's really not yours? And how much return are you getting from someone else paying you that money? Now you are definitely in the easy 9 to 10 to 12% of return on your investment, sometimes even 20%. And if you take 20 divided by 72, if 12 is divided, it gives you 6 years. I wonder how fast you would double your money if you're getting 20% return on your investment. Now, I'm not going to elaborate any more details on that because that is specifically for my students and my clients to learn what that means. However, the reason why you want to get out of debt is so that you can learn what the wealthy is doing and how they get their 9 to 10 to 20% on their investments. Because as long as you're playing with debt, the only thing you can probably even touch is maybe 3% or 5% on your return. You could put it in the mutual funds and stock market and possibly get a return here and there of 20%. But if you want to hit the big leads and you want to consistently get about 10%, get your butt out of debt first and holler at me. I can show you. However, this is my conclusion of my dealing with debt, because debt is horrible if you're paying for it every month. And by the way, if it's taking money out of your pocket because it's taking your cash flow. But when you really get out of a debt, you might want to change your mind on how you really look at it. And now you see it as leveraging. Leveraging is different than debt. So this is Kenneth McGinnis signing off. I hope you learned a few things here and there. If you feel like you got some questions and you want to understand what the world I was talking about just this last slide, send me a message. I'll be glad to talk to you. Thank you.